Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Astrological Intentions. I'm your host, Alex Reevy, along with the Cincinnati sweetheart herself, Sandy Reevy.
Hi, everybody. Heading that way.
It is February 13th, episode 238.
2:30 late.
Let's get right into it. In the transits, we have Wednesday, February 15th, Venus conjunct Neptune.
Romantic
Liasons. Mm-hmm. Thursday, February 16th, Sun conjunct Saturn.
Engage self-control.
Friday, February 17th, Mercury sextile Jupiter.
Read Socrates.
And Saturday, February 18th, Sun ingress Pisces.
Dreamer aspects arrive.
Sandy's Astro Interesting Day, Sunday, February 19th, Venus sextile Pluto.
Profound partnership.
And Sandy's favorite day, Monday, February 20th, new moon at 1 degree of Pisces.
Escape, runaway, all clear.
Then in Talisman times, we have 3 special talismans coming up that we will discuss. And on the horizon, we have our new community on Patreon. Don't forget to sign up. And in our house, we are bringing on a special guest to the podcast to discuss our retreat stories. So meet Kat, a therapist from California, brand new to traveling, and she has a jaw-dropping story for us.
Wow.
So stay tuned for this episode of Astrological Intentions.
Thanks, Kat.
I say go do you. Now travel far, share your stories and earn your scars. It's you. Say you are the one you will answer to when this life is done. Don't waste a minute, jump in the river. Wash yourself clean so you can deliver you. The story of you.
Hello, Cincinnati sweetheart.
I know I'm heading that way for my 91st mom's birthday party.
Your mom's 91st birthday.
Yeah, put that together for me. It's
You're
all
welcome.
jumbled. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so I'm heading that way.
Yep, me too.
Yep.
So let's see. Let's go direct to all of our listeners. I combined 5 phrases of reviews. So we have this link that people can give us their feedback. And so I just took 5 random ones. Mm-hmm. And so I asked them, what's like a top phrase, like a quick phrase, nothing more than maybe 5 to 10 words of whatever your experience was with an astrology reading, a retreat, an intention bracelet,
right?
Whatever.
Good. I'm excited. What is this about?
So the 5 phrases I picked: first, my path confirmed. Second, clarity on how to be mindful and intentional. 3, too much for words. 4, this one's a little bit longer. I gained great insight into my current challenges, why they are happening, and reinforced a decision I recently made. And 5, the magnitude of this opportunity changed my life.
Ooh,
those are so good, right?
Goosebumps.
It's like,
it makes me want to cry right now.
It's those articles, the article headings. It's those headers that really capture your attention and make you intrigued to know more. And so if you do want to know more, of course, get an astrology reading, experience it firsthand. Find a talisman on the website. We have a few new ones upcoming in the pre-sale section, so we'll discuss that in the Talisman times. So
it's funny you say these really short, testimonies or comments that can be, headliners, right? Mm-hmm. Did you see the one yesterday that is like scroll, paragraph after paragraph after paragraph that came in? So a little bit different, right? That might take a month of going direct to read that. We'll have to pull that in. But another great testimony that we got yesterday. Yeah.
So let's move into the transits. We start off the week on Wednesday, February 15th, Venus conjunct Neptune.
Yeah, this is for romantic liaisons.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say it.
We're working on it.
It's funny. I can't say that word. This is a busy week, and we start off really on Wednesday, right? So it's like this may be the last day or the last few weeks, really, that really Venus meeting up with Neptune in Pisces, right? It's like, are things real? Are they not real? Should be your question. Disappointment and disillusion are part of what the Venus conjunct Neptune, right? Venus is exalted in Pisces. Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces. And they meet up one more time in the spring of next year of 2024 in Pisces. And then they won't meet up in Pisces for the rest of our lifetime. Mm-hmm. Wow. What?
Yeah.
Right. So, we really need to pay attention to this on February 15th, which is right after the Valentine's Day celebrations. Mm-hmm. Maybe you maybe push off till the 15th because it's about, what about this romantic relationship is real and what is ideal, right? Mm-hmm. There's this
ideal versus real.
It's more about idealistic. Mm-hmm. So, right, enjoy the moment before they start separating, and meaning, these two, Venus starts separating from Neptune, and things become a little bit more real, and that's where you get those, disappointments or disillusions.
Right. So let's move on to the next day, Thursday, February 16th, Sun conjunct Saturn.
Right. Engage your self-control. This is the annual conjunction of a planet to the sun. This happens to be Saturn meeting up with the sun. Actually, it's the sun meeting up with Saturn because sun is way faster than Saturn. But use all your possible resources within your grasp to build self-esteem.
Right.
I've got a talisman time coming up on this day. This is that important. It's about ending a cycle and starting a new cycle. And we'll talk about that in the talisman time. But this one, I really want to really focus on this particular day and the talisman that I'm going to be making. If you have any inkling of wanting that Saturnian control at your fingertips, this will be the last time. I know. That last time where the sun will come up and conjunct Saturn. Mm-hmm. The sun will do this every year, but the next time it will do this will be in Pisces. The sun will be in Pisces because Saturn will be in Pisces. So this is the last time in a Saturn-ruled sign until 2048.
Okay.
Let's check into that.
We got a
2048. Right. So that's not for a while.
Right.
I do want to give a little background that Sun has been conjoining Saturn in a Saturn-ruled sign since 2017. So because Saturn was in Capricorn for 2.5 years and in Aquarius for 2.5 years-ish. And so really for the last 5 years, 6 years, something like that, that every time the sun comes around every year meets up with Saturn in Saturn sign. So this is the last time. Mm-hmm. So this is, we'll talk about the talisman, but, it's about beginning a new cycle of refinement. And this will be the last time Saturn has control over this refinement. Mm-hmm. So this is a piece to if you want a Saturn kind of ruled talisman in your on your altar or in your jewelry case, right? Grab this one and get this as a pre-sale and be involved in it. This is not going to happen again until 2048.
Okay. So let's move on to Friday, February 17th, Mercury sextile Jupiter.
Right. Read Socrates. Mm-hmm. Know thyself. This was written, inscribed on the Temple of Apollo in Delphi. And we're going to go see that on our Greek 1 retreat, the first part of the Greece retreat. Of course, I've got a Greece 1, part 1, and Greece part 2. Greece part 2 is still available. But to know thyself, it's the claiming that the unexamined life was not worth living. Right. So that you must examine what your self is like. And we can do this through astrology, right? It is one of the tools to know thyself. It's so funny because interesting that just really interesting that I ended up at the library on last week, and I went right to the psychology section, and there's a book that just it was like a magic book case.
Yeah.
And this book just like stared at me in the eyes. It was above my head. And I pulled it. I was like, oh, this is called The Republic, written by Plato, which I have been reading about this Republic book in some of my, studies of, ancient astrology. And so I popped it out, went and read it over on the little table, and thought, oh, this is something that I need to bring home with me. And I was able to. But reading Plato's writing about Socrates is Socrates always asked questions. That's how he got to, he asked other people questions, and they would share their wisdom, and then he'd ask another question to get another bit of wisdom. But it was his questioning that drew out the answer that got very frustrating for some of these people that he would be talking to. But, he'd ask questions like, what is wisdom? What is bravery? What is righteous? And so things like questioning like that about, know thyself, right? So I just really kind of like this day. It's not my favorite day, but anytime you got Mercury making an aspect to Jupiter, especially in a harmonious, it's about really wanting to get more information, right? And this Jupiter is in the sign of Aries, which is about, the mind and the brain. And Mercury is in Aquarius, which is about, some people say he's exalted in Aquarius. So it's about what higher knowledge do I know about me? So it's really interesting. Of course, I'm on like page, I don't know, 30, and I've been reading it for 2 weeks now.
Wow.
It's quite the depth.
Thou.
Yeah, and it's quite and it's even got, it's such an old book. I mean, it's been rewritten, but I think this was back in the early 1900s. It even has one of those, kind of the Bibles have those, like the ribbons.
The bookmarks.
The bookmarks, the ribbons that go down, that's all frayed. And it's, I don't know, it's one of my go-to. It's sitting by my fireplace and my candle that I read at night. Anyway, just want to say that. Read Socrates. Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, and another one of his quotes is, "Wonder is the beginning of wisdom." Just kind of to be like enthralled in something or a subject, and then, just to keep exploring it and engaging with it, then that's when that wisdom starts building and growing into something more. So, I want to mention here too that it was my nephew, your cousin, was heading to Kairos, right? And of course they were asked us to send a letter, and I literally went into my book, into the book I was reading, and I pulled a comment from Plato. And wrote this. And I just want to, because we're talking about Plato and Socrates. And I wrote this. I didn't write it. I just wrote it on a letter. Right. That Plato said, "Wise men talk because they have something to say. Fools because they have to say something." I really like that one too. Yeah.
Right. So anyway, enough of Socrates and Plato. Let's come back to the real world here.
All right. So Saturday, February 18th, Sun ingress Pisces.
Oh, this is at 4:34 p.m. Central. Sun into Pisces. Dreamer aspects arrive.
And happy birthday, Pisces.
Oh, the perfect zodiac sign.
We are so biased.
No worries, man. Allow me to flow along, right? Because it's just going with the flow. I mean, of course, we're both Pisces.
And we have a bias. So, do we want to chat more about Sun in Pisces? What should be?
Well, I think this year particularly
with Saturn moving into
Pisces. I mean, the sun gets there, right? We just had the cazimi of the sun to Saturn in the 27th degree of Aquarius, which means sun only has to go 3 days. And that was on the 13th, or excuse me, on the 16th. And then boom, here on the 18th, we get sun moving into the next sign. That makes sense because the sun moves a degree a day. But Saturn, my gosh, his mean motion, I don't even know it off the top of my head. But, he takes about 2.5 to 3 years in a sign.
Okay.
So he is finally moving in March 7th, into the next sign, which is Pisces. And that's why I said he's going to be completely out of Aquarius where he rules. So we're looking at the Piscean energy as looking at having the border control, the boundary control, Saturn, the into our dream state.
Right.
And so we'll talk more about that. I've been telling all of my monthly clients and quarterlies about, and we'll be doing this on retreat in Bali.
Correct.
Is really identifying your dream state during this period. So you could actually start here on Saturday, February 18th, and moving all the way through really June until Saturn starts his retrograde. Now,
so let the daydreaming begin.
And you know what? And I had suggested to a client today because she's like, I don't really dream. And, and if you're trying to ask your dream weavers before you go to sleep, a theme or a subject or a person or just one remnant, one piece torn from the dream you had to be leaving somewhere in your consciousness that you could at least pull on as soon as you are in that bardo state of waking. I suggested your meditation podcast.
Oh, cool.
So astrology meditations is another really, really great thing. And I'm sure you'll have something on with Saturn moving into Pisces. I mean, there you go. You got some time to do that. But what that means for the reality Saturn into the idealism of Pisces. What are your dreams and how can we make them real? So this will be the theme over the next 2.5, 3 years. So we're going to start that in Bali. And by the way, there's still space available in Bali.
Yes, come with us. Okay, so let's move on to Sunday, February 19th. This is your Astro Interesting Day. Venus sextile Pluto.
Profound partnerships. Now, this is a personal Astro Interesting Day because Venus is at 29 degrees of Pisces. So she's in her last degree of Pisces, sitting on my natal sun. I have a sun at 29 Pisces.
Right.
So Venus, the exaltation planet in Pisces, is making her connection to my sun, which is the ruler of my chart. I'm a Leo rising. And we see that Pluto is at 29 of Capricorn because he's not quite moved into his next sign of Aquarius, right? He's at 29. He's about to move in about March. I think it's March 26th to 28th, something like that. So he's also moving in March. And so for me, this is my Astro Interesting Day for a personal reason because that'll be my first hit of Pluto at 29 degrees, making a sextile to my sun while Venus is there. And I really feel that and when I say profound partnership, that's what those two planets want and are vying for. But for me, having it be on my sun, it's like, now is my time. Will you show up, honey, sweetheart? Will you show up for me? Are you in love with me yet? Right? That kind of feeling. Because I really think it's maybe I'll meet someone this year, right? Because Pluto will be bouncing over my sextiling my sun for a while. So anyway, but this is the first dose, and that's why. So it's profound partnership for everyone.
Yep. Yeah, really going deep. So let's move into your favorite day, which maybe is all mixed in with the astro interesting and the favorite day. Monday, February 20th, the new moon at 1 degree of Pisces.
Yeah, this is at 1:06 a.m. and this is Chicago time, not Bali time, because just as a quick side note right here, I wrote my March and I'm writing my April transits right now for the cheat sheet, on Patreon. And just because that's where I'll be for a month period is in Bali. I've written it for Chicago, obviously, but then I've had to do the 13-hour change, and found those times. So I'll be able to engage in the energy while I'm there. However, coming back to
February 20th.
It's a new moon at 1 degree of Pisces at 1:06 a.m. Escape, run away, all clear. Go hide far and on purpose, right? Again, do meditation, get by water, get by flow, get by ease. Right. Just maybe writing a meditation. Oh, your astrology meditations. There are no hard aspects. There always seems to be aspect to one of the outer planets, whether a helper or a hindrance. But here we have, it's free of no limits. And that's what Pisces wants. Pisces doesn't want to be told what to do, right?
Right.
So in Pisces, the water planet, you pour water out and it just goes where gravity flows. So it's not so much about holding something. You need a container. You need a cup or a glass or a bowl or a dam, right? To hold in water because it will go where it wants to go. Yep. And that has the energy of the Pisces. So here it really is about escaping and running away and being all clear and just letting the water flow. So there is nothing holding you back from setting an intention or a dream or a wish or a desire. That's why it's my favorite day.
Beautiful. Well, what a week. I mean, very Piscean, but we've got also that romantic liaison type of energy throughout the whole thing. So let's move into Talisman times where there are none finished. However, there's 3 upcoming. The first is Thursday, February 16th, to begin a new cycle of refinement.
I swiftly deal with any old situations that need removal. This purification process speedily permits new committed building pieces. Now, this is the cazimi that I was talking about earlier in our call. When the sun is coming along and being right at the cazimi of Saturn. And interesting because the moon is in Capricorn. So the sun is in Aquarius, ruled by Saturn. Moon is in Capricorn, ruled by Saturn. And the rising sign is Aquarius, ruled by Saturn. Saturn is in Aquarius, so is the sun, as I mentioned. And it's coming up over the horizon. So it really is about purifying old and beginning new. It's funny, when I was writing this, it was like, speedily. And when I say swiftly and speedily, you'd think, that's the wrong term for Saturn, right?
Right, because Saturn likes to drag time.
Long, hard, takes time. But the sun is moving across him quite fast, right? Because it's the sun's movement that creates. The sun is what brings the fire, right? Okay. What brings the purification. And so that's why I use the word speedily. And I was writing like, this purification process speedily permits new committed building blocks. And I started writing B, and I'm like, no blockage, no blockage. So I went back and thought, building pieces, like material of how you would, do you need bricks? Do you need wood? Do you need mortar? What are your building materials? But I call them pieces. Anyway, interesting that I got to, no.
Yeah, right.
Saturn said no.
So let's move on to Friday, February 17th, to display pleasantness, charm, and beautiful appearance.
My spiritual growth is noticed by others. I possess inner peace, beauty, and infinite wisdom. I feel close with God. Okay, check this out.
Yes.
This is another rare one. And if you need if you need a strong Venus talisman, this is your girl. Because the moon is making a sextile to Venus in Pisces. Now, we know that once Venus gets into Pisces at 0 degrees all the way to 29 and 59, 29 degrees and 59 minutes, that she is exalted, which we know that she is esteemed in this part of the sky. However, when she gets to 26 degrees of Pisces, she is in her exaltation degree. Each planet has not only their exaltation sign,
but a degree within that?
A degree within that. So 1 degree within the 30, right? And so in this place, the moon is making a really nice harmonious aspect, applying aspect to Venus, which we prefer the applying aspects. In this 26 degrees of Pisces exaltation degree place is closest to the heaven as possible. This is when she has reached the pinnacle, the zenith of getting close to the heavens. And so this is where I brought in, I feel close with God.
Yeah.
So
beautiful.
Again, this is a one of a kind piece as well.
Really, really pretty. I'm excited to see how it turns out.
Yeah.
So same day, we have another talisman: to be respected by others.
I'm honored and esteemed in my standing. Others are ready and willing to assist me. I am romantic, sensitive, and intuitive. Again, here, just a couple hours later, the moon is making a sextile to Venus in her exaltation sign at her exaltation degree. And this time, she's sitting up, not in the first house like she was the last time. I failed to mention that. But here, she is sitting at the top of the chart in the 10th house on the midheaven. And that is where she can be honored and esteemed in her standing. So this is more about reputation, possible career, about visibility. And we see that the moon then is coming from, let me get this chart. The moon is coming from the 7th house of other people. And that's why others are ready and willing to assist me. Because the moon is making that beautiful sextile harmonious aspect to Venus in the 10th house from the 7th of other people. All right. Woo woo.
All righty. So everybody, don't forget that the talisman of the month is ready and waiting for you on the site. To acquire respect and love, of course, a big heart for all the Valentine's people out there. This talisman is on special for $222, and you do get a shipping credit along with this savings. So let's move on to the horizon, where we are going to briefly discuss a few things. And to start, I'm going to say join us on Patreon, because this community that we're creating is going to be expanding more and more. And it's exciting because we have monthly forecasts, monthly cheat sheets, unlimited webinar libraries. You get all of the webinars there as a part of the monthly fee. It's great. Yeah. So the Patreon, and there's a brand new thing. So if you haven't heard us talk about it before, it's called the Star Seat.
Brand new. This was your idea, yeah?
Yeah. Where Sandy and Susan once a month at the end of the forecast will bring on a few people to answer questions live. And it's really exciting. It's really cool, because if you don't necessarily need a full-on astrology reading with Sandy and Susan, this is an amazing opportunity that comes along with that subscription. And you can kind of raise your hand and say, I have a question. And if it's a quick question, that's all you need.
And really, we have your birth data, because once you become we have
Big
4
Dipper.
tiers. So once you become the Sirius, which is the Big Dipper, which is $30 a month, we will request your birth data if I don't have it already, so that if you ask a question, I can throw it up and get on. And last time, which was our first time, we had 2 questions.
Right.
And we got great response after that saying, thank you. Oh my gosh, you have just made helped me make a quick decision here. And that was
and also
worthwhile for me.
Yeah, it was a question
right?
too about a solar return. What is my year going to be like? What are some themes that I need to pay attention to?
Yeah.
And it really is the spark note answer, because
You
of
have
course
to.
you and
Yeah.
Susan can go into this person's chart and turn that into at least an hour discussion about going really like peeking underneath every aspect, every rock. But sometimes that's all we need is that one short little top phrase that we started with in going direct, is just that headliner.
Yeah.
We sometimes just need that headliner, because sometimes that's easier for us to remember.
It's distilled.
Right.
And it's sometimes the first thing we'll see, right? It's kind of like doing a quickie at a festival,
Right.
where you go sit and then they look at your chart for 5-10 minutes. But I love that.
Yeah.
I can easily get in and get out. So that's part of it.
Yes. So of course,
And that's every month.
Yeah, we would love for you to join the Patreon community. It helps support this monthly forecasting, these awesome features that you get. So make sure to join us over there. Go over to patreon.com/chattingwiththestars. So also we have our Bali retreat coming up, and it's coming up sooner and sooner than we have really ever planned.
We have literally sat here just days and making contacts with our peoples over in Bali and setting up times and paying for things and arranging that. We want to be picked up at that time, and we're going to go on, unless people don't want to be picked up and they want to go on the rice paddy walk.
Right? It's a beautiful hike. So basically the Bali retreat for 2023, the astrological theme is going to be that Saturn and Pisces. Also, with a little bit more of the external planet of Pluto in there, because
we're going to spend one day on Pluto and see what it's hitting in everyone's natal chart. Maybe nothing.
And this is really, like, just like we said before, this is a really wonderful time to make our dreams really come true. And how do we start living this fantasy world in a very concrete way?
Sounds
bringing
hard,
it down
huh?
to earth, but I think that that's going to be the fun of it, to really be in that ideation phase together as a group in Bali. Of course, that's going to be super easy.
Right there is the Pisces healing,
right?
Meditative land.
Right. So it's going to be the healing waters of Pisces. It's going to be the structure and the discipline of Saturn, and also that deep dive with Pluto. So, and that transformation. So it's going to be a really amazing retreat. We're getting really excited about it. And of course, if you are interested in any of our retreats, you can jump on a call, 15 minutes with Sandy, ask questions, and see if it's right for you. So I'm going to keep that link in the show notes. So click over there, and we'd love to chat.
And the Bali, we start with our opening dinner on April 1st. So you got to leave the end of March, because it's a long flight, and you begin your retreat actually when you book your flight, or put your $500 down, although we'll need the full payment quick, but there you go. Please join us.
Yes.
We got a room for you.
And quick note, September is the Amargos Greece retreat. It's a beautiful island off the coast of mainland Greece, where we will be enthralled with beautiful views, delicious food, great culture, a 5-star hotel, resort, and infinite astrological knowledge. So
that's fixed star. That's going to be all fixed stars.
It'll be very cool. So that is all for on the horizon. If you do have any questions, remember, email me, alex@intentionbeads.com. Let's move into our house where we have a special guest.
I know, Kat's here. Yay.
So everyone listening, quick mention, I ran this interview by myself. So you're going to be hearing me asking Kat about her experience, what led her onto the retreat, what happened, what unfolded for her during the retreat, and also this incredible story that will be a Hallmark movie one day. So listen in and check out this story Kat has for us. All right, so welcome into our house. We are so excited. We have another special guest coming in from the Mexico retreat. We have Kat here with us, and I am so excited to open up this storybook of Kat and everything that transformed and has happened in this retreat. So welcome in and thanks for joining.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So give me a little idea of, who you are, what it is that makes you who you are. Give us an idea for all the listeners.
Yeah, so the easiest thing that I could say is I'm a psychotherapist, but I'm also open-minded to a lot of different things. And so it's like, oh, okay. When I met Sandy, maybe I want to say 5 years ago when she had done a reading for me. Yeah, it was like, and we were just happy. She goes, I see that you're going to be going on like a retreat. I'm like, no, that's not me. I don't travel. Like I've never traveled before. And then boom, I kid you not, it was maybe a day later, I had this dream that I was traveling. And I'm like, okay. And I signed up for it. I'm like, okay, this is great. So yeah.
Oh my gosh. So tell me about that. Like you didn't travel internationally, or you just traveling wasn't necessarily something that intrigued you?
Both.
Okay.
Both, because I was a single mom and I had kids to raise. Like travel's like, no, that doesn't work for me because, I just can't do it. And then internationally, definitely not. I'm like, I had a passport. So like the passport was just there. So I'm like, oh, well, damn, my kids are grown. I get to use this passport. And the stars are saying do it. I'm like, I'm doing it. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was scary at first. I'm not going to lie, because I didn't know anybody other than Sandy.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, and you met Sandy on a Zoom call.
Yeah.
Right. So exactly. Like even on top of that.
Correct. Right. That's what you're like. Oh, she has legs when I met her, because on a Zoom call, you don't know. So I'm like, oh my God, Sandy, you have legs. And actually, that was meeting her for the first time as well last year.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, all right, let's start, kind of diving into this a little bit deeper. You went on to back-to-back Mexico retreat.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about, so we know like you didn't necessarily have the travel bug, but now there was something that was planted inside that made you sign up. And tell me a little bit about that last year.
Yeah. So last year, I was like, I'm just going to do it. And so there were so many things that were first for me last year. It's just a lot from last year. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this again. And I believe I had my down payment within a few weeks after nothing was, I'm like, I'm going to do this again. And yeah, I was, a lot of stuff happened last year that intrigued me to go again this year.
Give me an idea. What are those things? What are those things that happened that first year on the retreat?
Yeah. So one of them was just traveling by myself, like meeting people I didn't know. So just that alone, I wasn't that woman, but I am now.
Right.
And so one of the things that I wanted, not necessarily wanted to do, but was and I might pronounce this Temazcal or the Sweat Lodge.
Oh, Temazcal.
Temazcal.
Yes.
So, so just a small backstory. So I was informed that my biological father had passed away by my mom. So when I got into the Temescal, it's like, okay, I'm gonna get through these 4 doors. By the way, that was my first goal. I'm gonna get through these first goals, but I'm also gonna pray to my biological father and just let him know, just talk with him, right? So come February 1st, I got something from this person that I didn't know on Ancestry.
And this is after the retreat. You already were in the Temescal.
Yes.
You were like reaching out, because usually they'll ask if you want to bring in any ancestry or messages or anything like that. So so you're calling out to your dad, and then after you get back home, and what happens?
Yes. And so I got I kept getting these various messages from like my Psychology Today on different various social media from this guy that I didn't know, and to find out that it was my biological dad's nephew. And then his sister connected with me, because I'm like, I don't know you. Please don't.
Oh my gosh, I'm starting to get some goosebumps here.
I'm like, please don't keep connecting with me. And then so his sister spoke with me, because I had that feminine energy, to find out we were connecting. She goes, so where were you born? Japan. Okay, well, my uncle was born in, stationed in Japan. What year? Oh, my uncle was there. What did you say your biological dad's name is? James. Oh, well, my uncle's name is James. Yes. So, yes. So and then 2 weeks later, I wind up meeting my biological dad for the first time via Zoom.
Wait, right? He's alive.
He's alive. Like, he's alive. So like, yes. And so, yes.
Oh,
yes.
I can't even believe this story right now.
Right. I couldn't either, because to be all honest, I was really, I don't want to say the word, but I was upset, because it's like, oh, this is your biological father. I'm like, no, he's not, because my biological father's dead.
Right. And I've been told this my whole life.
Yes. Yes. And they showed the picture. I'm like, oh, that's my smile. Oh, that's my nose. Oh, that's it was crazy. So amongst the things that also came out of there, I was having a few ailments when I went to the Temescal, and just my body felt different. Like my energy was different. I felt different as a person. So yeah, so it was many things that came out of last year that said, you know what, I'm going back. There's no reason why I shouldn't go back. Okay. Right. It's, and because how you guys do it, the financial way, it was easy, to know that, okay, well, I'm preparing. Oh, here's another payment. Okay. It's getting closer.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I'm definitely going back. So,
and it sounds like that first retreat was really something that like, you were overcoming, because you had to overcome this, this resistance to traveling. And you also had to overcome, maybe what you thought was possible for yourself. Even in the Temescal, you were breaking barriers, going through all 4 doors, challenging yourself and overcoming those challenges to reach those goals. And wow. Okay. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about that second retreat once you came back.
Yeah. So the second retreat, I wasn't sure which ladies were coming back. Which also, intrigued me to go back again, to see some of the ladies again, because I had met some really wonderful, beautiful, spirited women last year. And so it's like, okay, the same is going to happen, but I just wasn't sure. And so this year, it was like, okay, just jump right in. Like, you're a new person. Let's keep that same, path and journey. And so this year, same thing. These women that come on these retreats are just amazing, are just so amazing. And
I agree with you. And you are one of them.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And just the energy, just the being able just to, I can't even explain it. It's like, if there was, what is the fountain of youth? I felt like And the food
really
was
does.
amazing.
When we get back into those groups and we're really developing and learning about each other, but we're doing it in a way that isn't judgmental. Because what I like about, when you're looking all at your own astrological charts, you're able to kind of like compare and contrast in a very simple way where you're not saying mine's better, yours is worse. You're not saying that. You're coming from a really like open place of, well, yeah, I have challenges here. And someone can be like, yeah, I have similar challenges. I know what you're doing. I know what you're going through. And so when we go into those groups and we have that vulnerability, it does feel like a little like sleepover back in like the teenage days of where like we're like giggly and like we like to make some inside jokes and just have a blast together.
Yeah, that's so true. And just when you have the group and then you're like, well, connection. And then it's like, what? Like you just even the littlest thing. And the next thing you know, you have this giggle fest and you're just laughing where your stomach hurts. It's like,
Oh, it's so good. And I know I haven't been to the last 2 Mexico retreats, so I haven't met you in person, but it is so nice to, reach out to you this way and be able to, discuss a little bit about this incredible story that you have. Not only like one incredible story about reconnecting with your father who you thought was deceased,
yes,
but also really connecting with an adventurous side that was undiscovered for many, many years.
Yes, that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about this like discovery of yourself. What have you noticed that's maybe a little bit transformed or changed after all this?
Yeah, that's a good, because Sandy was saying, she goes, Catherine, you're just different from last year. She goes, and you're even different this year. And I'm like, am I? But it's sometimes you don't see yourself for yourself, it's others. But then when I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take that credit. I've been able to know, like, take this risk because I'm not a risk taker. And so it's like, take this risk. It's okay. You've got this. And I just feel as if I can do anything now. Even yeah, seriously. And it has to do with these retreats. I kid you not. And even the Thomas Gall this year. So I'm like, I'm going back in. I don't know who I'm gonna, I'm just gonna do this. And Daniel warned us, like the third door, he goes, it's gonna get really hot. Before the third door, I fell asleep. Like I literally took a nap. It was, wow. Yes, see that? Yes. Right.
And I mean, you're usually like, let me try to keep my body as cool as possible.
Exactly. And I'm like, and I said, and then I'm like, did I go? And I'm thinking, okay, this is not right. And so then after the third, same thing, I took it. It must have been like a 45-second nap, but it was still, and I'm like, what is going on here? But the stuff that was going on was amazing inside. And the support that the women give other women it's just amazing. So just those things, I wouldn't have done those things. I really wouldn't have. I wouldn't have.
Right. And you not only had, this kind of like experiential learning of like, put out the risk and you can get the reward that you want, or you can get a reward that you never thought was even possible just by like opening yourself up to that opportunity. I think that's so exciting. It's like, it looks so good on you. I know our podcast listeners can't see, but your smile is so big. It's a beautiful smile. And I guess any closing statement, maybe if you were talking to yourself back before you even did a retreat about, maybe that doubt of like, ooh, I don't know about the international travel. I don't know about the cost. I don't know about what's going to happen. What would you tell yourself now in hindsight?
Ooh, you're getting deep, Alex. You're getting deep. Yeah. So, I would tell myself back then, it's like, yeah, like, it's okay. Like you were Like it's worth it. It's like worth it. Even though the risk was, you had all stuff, it's worth it. And look at the results that happen. Like, yeah, just look at the results that happen. I can't, yeah.
I mean, so cool. And just like for your father to somehow receive that call,
yeah.
Or the family to receive that call and then reach out to you. I mean, it is a miracle. It is so cool. I mean, write that story down for sure.
I am. I definitely am.
And thank you so much for coming in and giving us a little, story time. I think this is an absolute incredible testimony to taking the risk, learning a little bit more about yourself and opening yourself up to those different opportunities.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I'm
so
my
gosh,
I was able to share.
Yes, thanks, Kat. Well, thank you everybody for listening, and that is all for our house.
I say go do you. Now travel far, share your stories and earn your scars. It's you. Say you are the one you will answer to when this life is done. Don't waste a minute, jump in the river. Wash yourself clean so you can deliver you. The story of you, the story of you. The story of you, the story.